good afternoon, and welcome to our afternoon yoga session with Miss Katie Cunningham. We're so happy to have you, and I will turn it over to you to begin your session.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Lourdes. Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be here. I'm so glad you're able to take a little bit of time out of your day to find your Zen zone, which is what we're going to see if we can do today. So just to start off, I want to introduce myself. Ms. Lourdes just said, Katie Cunningham, but just to give you a little background, I am a psychotherapist. I practice at Insight Psychological Services downtown. And I've also been a yoga and meditation teacher for, I think, about 15 years now. And partly what I just wanted to share with you that through my journey as a psychotherapist, well, even going back before that, I think I became a psychotherapist because I was so interested in personal growth, in self-inquiry, in what we can do ourselves to work with whatever the cards are that we've been dealt in life. And so I've studied so many different things over the years to sort of help bring balance into the emotional, mental, and physical bodies. I've always been more of a holistic counselor in that I've always thought that it makes so much sense to first look at how are we moving, how are we breathing, what kind of nourishment are we bringing in, to look at the whole picture of our whole being in order to find wellness. These days in Western medicine, we look at, the one specific little issue, but we don't look at the whole being. And so I think we all know these days that doing what we can to find our breath, to be in nature, to hydrate and work on our nutrition, like all these things bring a holistic or a full circle of wellness. So yoga and meditation, I discovered when I was very young and then got much more serious about it. Actually, after I had a very tragic loss in my life, and I was lost myself, and I found a style of yoga called Kundalini yoga. So what I want to say, first of all, is there are many different styles of yoga. There are yoga practices that are very, very vigorous. They're very challenging physically, and they'll give you a good workout. Ashtanga yoga is one. Kundalini is another one, but Kundalini yoga focuses primarily on like the energy body. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of yogas that focus more on getting in physical shape, or toning or deep relaxation, those kinds of things. And Kundalini yoga encompasses all of that. It can be quite vigorous, and it can also be very relaxing. It can be very supportive in just finding our Zen zone, but the focus is on our energy body. So in other words, do you know what I mean when I talk about like times when you just feel heavy and stuck and there's not much energy moving? So that's when we look to something like yoga to understand that our life force energy, we call it Kundalini, or sometimes you've heard it called Chi in the practice of Tai Chi. But that life force energy, we understand that it is basically locked like a knot at the base of our spine. So this is our root chakra, and that is where that life force energy stays kind of locked up tight until we start to do certain practices in order to sort of raise that energy up. So in Kundalini yoga, we talk about the chakras or the different energy centers in our body. And just to give you a little sense of what I mean by that is, for instance, like I said, if that life force energy is kind of locked tight at the base of our spine, and right down here is our root chakra. That's just an energy center. It's just a word that we use to describe this energy center. So for instance, if our energy in this area is imbalanced, we might feel a lot of fear. We might feel really alone in the world. We might feel unprotected. We might feel like we could be pushed around in the world. But then if we have a really balanced root chakra, imagine like roots going deep down into the earth, we start to feel really solid, really grounded, really connected to others. Imagine that root system in the earth as if all of our roots were intertwined and so we're helping to support each other, ground each other, helping to receive nourishment maybe from the earth even. So like that'll help you to understand a little bit about this root chakra center. And then we have, all the ones in between, our solar plexus and our heart and our throat. But just for today's purposes, since I could talk for hours about yoga and yoga philosophy, I'm going to shorten it and come all the way up to the crown. So the crown of the head is a very major chakra or energy center. And when there is an imbalance or a blockage there, we might feel cut off from sort of higher guidance or intuition or dreams, guidance coming from higher sources, whatever you may think of that to be. And when we have sort of an open and balanced crown chakra, we have a sense that we're deeply rooted and grounded. So we're here on the earth, but we're also uplifted, and we're like kind of like an open antenna to receive wisdom from higher sources. And I'm saying it that way because yoga is definitely not religious, but it's very spiritual. So what I mean by that is, if you do have a practice, a spiritual practice, or you're practicing in a certain religion, I've heard it said many times that yoga will just help you be better at whatever your spiritual practice already is. It's not like it's not a whole separate understanding of divinity at all. In fact, it's really just coming into the truth of who we are. In the beginning and in the end of most yoga practices, you'll see yoga teachers and yogis put their hands together, like in prayer posture, at the center of their heart. And we use the term namaste. We say namaste as a greeting, as a hello, or as a farewell. And that word, namaste, simply, and interrupt myself just to say I had the pleasure of being in India maybe 10 years ago or so. And I was amazed that in many places in India, this is the greeting. You don't put your hand out and shake, how do you do? It's namaste. Or in some areas, it's namaskar. And the direct in translation of that is basically the truth, the light, and the love in me recognizes the truth, the light, and the love in you. So often we're distracted by appearances or, just all of the material world. But yoga is that opportunity to really come into contact with, that truer, deeper part of ourself that is like past or like just separate from our everyday awareness. In our everyday awareness, we're operating a lot from our ego, and we need to. Ego is not a bad term at all. It's just a term for our personality, for the sum of all of our beliefs and ideas. So we need that in order to operate in the world. But in yoga, we get a chance to practice going deeper. The idea, of course, is that yoga is like a moving meditation. So ideally, we would be focusing on our breath and clearing the mind as we're moving through certain movements and certain postures in yoga. To be very honest, that is not how it works much of the time for myself and for many yogis. We might be breathing and moving, but thoughts are coming into the mind. And we might have worries. We might have what we're on our way to do next coming into the mind. And that's okay. That's just the human condition. That's what our mind knows how to do. But the idea would be not to get too attached to those thoughts, not to fight them, but not to jump on board with them. Just sort of notice them. Just like if you do get a chance to be in the meditation session, I have a feeling they'll be talking about that idea there. Because the thoughts will keep coming, just like if you were watching CNN. Life is right up front, but we've got this ticker tape going on at all times, like thoughts just rolling by. So I want to remind you, don't believe everything you think, and don't even jump on board with all those thoughts that are running. Just let them keep going. It's okay. And we can come back to the breath. So what else? I just want to talk a little fast and then give you a little bit of an experience of some yoga today, because I want you to get a little sense of how we can do something, even if you have 5-10 minutes, to shift how we feel in our energy, how we feel in our emotions, how we feel in our thoughts and in our body, most of all. So I wanted to mention, though, that the ultimate goal, there's many different goals or intentions with yoga, and many people come to yoga to find deep relaxation, to find peace, to find a way of coping with all the stress, oh my goodness, stress over this last year that we've all dealt with. So it's a phenomenal practice to come into your breath, to clear your mind, to stretch and kind of work out the energy blockages. I know that you probably know what I mean when I talk about, the knots that can build up in our neck and our upper back and shoulders. So often we're hunched over, either driving or on a computer. So, we get these energy blockages, and energy can't flow as cleanly and as clearly as we would like it to. So yoga is tremendous in just helping to open up the channels for our life force energy. The ultimate goal really of yoga, though, if you really go deep, is self-realization or self-actualization. It's coming into that fullness of our whole being, loving, honoring, and accepting the wholeness of who we are. And it's difficult to get there if we are worrying all the time, if we're focused on survival. So yoga, again, is a time and a place when we can sort of come into our trust and our faith and just simply be breathing, moving, fully connected circuits of energy beyond all of our thoughts, our worries, our ideas, our roles in life, and all of that sort of thing. So yoga can also help when you have tons of energy rushing through your body and maybe it's agitation or anger. Yoga can help give you a channel to move that through so you can find that Zen zone. And if you're feeling stuck, like I said before, if you're feeling heavy, there's nothing like yoga, movement, stretching, and using the breath to help get the energy moving. So it can energize us if we're feeling just exhausted with, not much happening in the energy body. And it can also soothe and smooth out our energy if we've got tons of it kind of rushing through us. It also helps to balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. You've probably heard that the right side of our brain basically is more of the yin or feminine side, and that is our creative, spiritual, emotional side. So the right side of the brain goes to the left side of the body. And the left side of the brain dominates more of our our thinking, our logic, our doing, our science and math and all of that. And that's more of the yang or the masculine side. So that comes to the right side of the body. So just to give you a sense, though, when we do practice yoga, there is intention to all of the movements that we do, to all of what we do, to help balance out so that we will have access to both sides of our brain. We're meant to both be creative, feeling, spiritual beings, as well as creators in this world where we can act and do and, take action, like in a more masculine kind of way. So it's a beautiful practice to be able to show us all of that. So I'm just noticing the time and I'm talking a lot. I'm going to just say, though, to finish up the talk part, that what we often see in terms of what the media or we see in the world about yoga, what you see is what we call the asana practice, and that is the postures, basically the movement and the exercise part of this practice. But we have 8 limbs to yoga, and the movement, the asana practice, is only one of them. So I won't go into great detail again because of time, but imagine that yoga is really a full system that helps us come into balance. So in other words, other than the movement, we also have breathing exercises, we have meditation, we have a self-inquiry practice. So just simply self-awareness, self-understanding. There is the self-study of studying the wisdom teachers in the world. There's a devotional piece to yoga in which we use vibration and sound and music, affirmations and mantra. So by this, I just wanted to give you a little taste that there is so much more to yoga than the exercise, even though the exercise is often the part that gives us that feel good, that balanced feeling in our energy flows. So that being said, most of you guys have your camera off, so I can't see you, but I understand the camera shy thing. I feel the same. So I'm going to ask you, though, if you can come in. You may see that I'm seated in a cross-legged, almost like Indian style, but just like a very comfortable cross-legged easy pose. I actually have a yoga block underneath my hips just to lift the hips up a little bit. So wherever you are, you might roll a towel or a yoga mat to lift your hips up a little bit. It'll just give you a little more ease as you sit in your cross-legged easy pose. So I'm going to just go ahead and guide and direct you in a very small little bit of an experience of yoga. And I want to ask you to first listen to your body, right? I'm going to guide you, but I really would like you to listen to your body, particularly if you have any injuries or if there's anything, if anything feels painful, obviously stop. So we're going to just start with taking our hands out to our side and inhale with our arms reaching up. Inhaling, palms touch over our head, and let's exhale the palms right down to our heart, exhaling just through the nose if that's comfortable for you. And let's do that again, opening the hands and arms, inhaling just through the nostrils if that's comfortable for you. Palms of the hands touch overhead like in a prayer, and exhaling just through the nose, bringing your prayer down into your heart. And one last time, inhaling, opening the hands and arms, inhaling through the nostrils, palms touch like a prayer overhead, and exhaling just through the nostrils, imagining that we're coming into deep connection with our truth, the light and the love that's within us. Just closing the eyes for a brief moment here, check in with yourself. See how you're feeling in your physical body. Do you notice any tension, any constrictions? Just take a little scan of the body. Check in with yourself emotionally and notice how you're feeling. Is there any kind of upset or agitation? Just a little check-in, a little scan of how you're doing. So once you've gotten a little chance to feel like you're checked in with yourself, we're going to bring our arms up. So our upper arms are parallel to the ground, and you're bending at the elbows. So if you're seated in a chair, you want to make sure that your feet are solid on the ground, and you can put your hands into like an OK sign. So the thumb and the pointer finger touch. So you're going to turn to the opposite side of me since you're looking at the camera, but we're going to inhale through the nose, twist left, and exhale, twist right. So closing your eyes to do this if that is comfortable, but sitting up long and tall. We want to make sure that we're not slouching, because if you're leaning over and slouching while you're doing it, it's not going to feel very good. So inhaling as you twist left and exhaling as you twist right. And you can go nice and slowly if that feels good to the body. Yoga always is about listening to your body more than you listen to any teacher. So I say that to say that if your body does feel loose, sometimes we can pick up the pace a little bit. So I just want to show you, I'm going to stop talking for a moment and I'm going to inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. Just gently, if that's what feels best to the body, or picking it up and adding a little bit of a rhythm to your twist. And remembering your breath. And let's twist back to center. Inhale the breath and just hold the arms in center. Inhale, retain the breath. And now slowly exhale the breath through the nose and bring the hands back down to your lap. Beautiful. Okay, you can shake out the arms a little bit. You might have felt a little tension there. I'm going to teach you a quick, oh goodness, time is going by so quickly. I want to show you a very powerful breath so that whenever, this is a tool that you can use from yoga, if you ever feel like there's too much anger, too much agitation in your system, or if you're feeling very tired and there's not enough energy. So this is called Breath of Fire. And the way to learn it is, the easiest way is to imagine that you're panting like a dog. So to start with, you would stick your tongue out and pant. So the reason why I have my hand on my belly here is I want you to get a sense that as we pant, I'm basically pumping my belly. So when the air comes out, the belly goes in, and when we inhale, the belly expands. So it's beautiful. I can see some of you doing it. Once you get that, the idea would be to close the mouth and just do it through the nose. So it's pumping the belly and forceful through the nose. So now what we're going to do, I just want to adjust the camera so you can see my arms here. We are going to do, this is called ego eradicator. So it's kind of a funny term, but if you can put your arms up, not 90 degrees, which is straight out, but like, I don't know what we would call that. Is that 45 degrees? And your thumbs are pointing toward each other. And we're just going to do 1 minute of Breath of Fire. So the idea would be to close our eyes, and we're going to, you can always look up and see how I'm breathing, but again, it's just through the nose. Let's go ahead and begin. Breath of Fire. And inhale, bring the arms straight up, let the thumbs touch, retain your breath. So holding the breath for just a little minute here, a little moment. And now we're going to very slowly exhale through the nose, very, very slowly. Bring the arms down, just imagining that this is our electromagnetic field. You can keep bringing the arms down slowly, but I just want you to have a sense that we just expanded. Some people would call it the aura, but it's just the electromagnetic field that occurs around plants and animals and all living things. So you could imagine it as your boundary or your filter to the world. And we just did a little something to basically strengthen that filter so you don't have to absorb everything that's going on around you. So I'm aware of time, and it is actually 12:30 already, and I wonder if Ms. Lourdes or Ms. Stridiron are on board, and if not, I'm going to go ahead and show you, because I know we're meant to honor the time, so I don't want to be disrespectful if we need to finish, but I would love to show you a sun salutation, because yoga just is not complete without learning the sun salutations. So this is, you know, if you're in an office and in a chair, you might not be able to really practice this. So depending upon where you are, you might sort of need to just do a little modified stretch like what I'm doing. But if you are somewhere where you can be on the floor on a yoga mat, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see me here, but I am going to come toward the front of my yoga mat. And I am bringing my hands to my heart. So I'm going to just run through this so you get a little idea. In India and in Egypt, they would use sun salutations like this to greet the day, to start our day. So it's like we're giving thanks to the life-giving properties of the sun. Can you guys all still hear me while I'm standing up here? Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. Okay, great. So hands at the heart. Standing with the feet close together, you can spread your toes out, roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Hands at the heart. We're going to open our hands, open our arms, and reach them up above our heads. Palms touch up above our head. And then we're going to do a forward bend and just bring the hands towards the mat. They might just come to the calves or the knees, wherever you can come comfortably. And then bend those knees, plant the palms of your hands down on your mat, and you would step your right foot back and then your left. So you're at the top of a push-up here. Let's drop our knees down. And I'm trying to see if you can even see me. I hope you can see me okay. Can you see? Yeah, good deal. All right, so we're gonna come down like a modified push-up.
I can't hear what you're doing on the ground though.
You can't. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, let me adjust. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I appreciate your feedback. So you are at the top of a push-up here, right? This is strength. Let's bring our knees down first. And then it's the forehead, the nose, the chin, the chest, and we lift our chest up. This is called a cobra. So you can come up even just a little bit, but the idea would get to get a nice stretch to the back. We would come up onto our knees, turn our toes, and come up into what we call our downward facing dog. This is just an inverted V. And we would stay here and pedal our legs and stretch them out a little bit. Some people would keep their knees bent. And then we would inhale our right leg up, open that hip, and we would step forward. And then the left foot steps forward to meet the right. We inhale up, exhale down. And we begin to rise up with bent knees, open arms. We rise up with open arms, imagining that we can receive all the blessings life has to offer. Palms touch above the head, and we would exhale our hands down to our heart. So that is just one rotation of the sun salutations. And then, of course, we would do it on the other side as well. So that gives you just a little tiny taste. I would have loved to have given you so much more. But I hope that this has given you something, some little nuggets that might get you interested in yoga. Again, we say namaste, the light, the love, and the truth in me honors and recognizes the light, the truth, and the love in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know if we're getting cut off yet, but if anyone has any questions for me, Ms. Lourdes, should we stop right there, or are we okay?
You should be fine. If anyone has any questions,
Yeah.
I would, encourage them to do so. So we're still here.
Yes, great. So anyone, if you have a question, yeah?
Can you just briefly show an exercise or two that I can do at my desk? I know
Sure.
this one here was great. I felt like my back was loosening up, and usually that happens when you're sitting for more than 4 hours a day in one
It's true.
place. So
It's
another
true.
exercise would be nice.
That's a great, wonderful question. And it's true that twist would be a really good one for you to do. But other than that, you know, lifting the shoulders up, back, and down and rolling them up, back, and down gently, not too forcing. And you would come and roll them forward after you've done a few to the back, you know, just roll those forward. And then when you're ready, you could also certainly do the neck rolls where you're just circling and just look up. You don't have to go all the way around, just like a semicircle in the front. That's going to help the neck very much. You can bring the arms out even in front and just like clasp hands and see if you can feel a little tension across your back, because that should really give you a stretch across the back of your shoulders. And then bring that up overhead. And again, do a little stretch side to side. There you go. Beautiful. How's that feeling?
I like this one.
This one's really nice, isn't it? You can stretch a little side to side. That's a good one. And then
even felt a crack just now. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to go to the chiropractor today. Oh. That's wonderful. Thank you for that question. That's great. Yeah, good. And even just 3 long, deep breaths while you're doing a little stretching, a little neck roll, a little shoulder roll, like that should really bring some of that fresh life force energy back in. Thank you for that. Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more burning questions before we sign off today? I'm very aware of the time, so I know I've run over a little bit here. So I will just wish you all the best. Namaste. Oh, I will say you can find me at Insight Psychological Services downtown. If you have a pen, it is 774-2228. My personal email is healholistically108@gmail.com. Just in case, if you wanted to jot that down, because I'd love to hear from you if you wanted to be in touch. My cell is 340-626-3464. All right, all the best. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.